The doorbell rang, and Betty grimaced. She didn't like unexpected visits, and all her friends and acquaintances, knowing this peculiarity of hers, always warned her of their visit. Who else could it be? Who is it? Angrily asked the girl, peering through the peephole. Betty, it's me, open up, please. Oh my God, Damon. Forgotten, painstakingly erased from memory, and still loved. Go away, I don't want to see you, she almost groaned. Open up, Betty, we have to talk. I don't have to. She wanted to go to her room, but the bell rang again. What a jerk. Sophia Townsend, the old woman next door, is going to come out and ask her who's here, why he's here, and this smartass will smile his Hollywood smile at her and hypocritically tell her that he's Betty's fiancé. He arrives after a long separation, and Betty resents him and won't open the door, and then Sophia Townsend will spread the rumor around the neighborhood, and other old ladies will ask Betty with eyes burning with curiosity if she's getting married soon. She opened the door sharply and involuntarily backed away. Damon held a huge bouquet of roses in front of him and simply pushed Betty into her apartment, literally driving her in and leaking after her. Did you get your way? Said the girl, angrily retreating into the hallway. What do you want from me, God, Betty? What are you, like, a stranger? Look, what roses, it's for you. Put them in water and don't let them dry out. I'm just passing through on a business trip. I thought I'd drop by, see how you're doing, have a coffee, have a chat. Coffee is served in a coffee house, by the way. There's a very decent place not far from here. You could have a coffee and a chat with a barista, they're very nice people. I hope you don't have a problem with money in such a big and bustling city. Where you went, you can't live without money. You took a decent career, haven't you, Betty? Even the impenetrable Damon was a little embarrassed by the cold reception. I've been called Betty for 25 years, she cut off irreconcilably. But that's enough. What did you want? I didn't want anything. I thought I'd stop by and have a chat and reminisce about when I was. When you kicked me out of your life, exchanging me for the skinny, crooked-footed Sheena, the daughter of a big official. You dumped me, and then you tried to invite me to your wedding. What's the big deal? You still can't forget. Damon said sadly. I couldn't help it. Sheena's parents were friends with mine. They decided a long time ago that we should get married, and if I had gone against them, my mother has a heart condition, she wouldn't have been able to stand it, my father would have cursed me. Look at the passions, a sick mother, a father's curse, a parent's blessing. You must have believed it yourself not to live with the mean thoughts that you marry not Sheena, but the job you got from her father. That's all. The evening of memories is over. Goodbye, or better still, farewell. Damon rose from his chair and smiled, a little confused, clearly thrown off balance by such an unkind encounter. All right, I'm leaving, and I'm sorry if I offended you. I just have one small request. This briefcase, I don't need it yet, and I have to go around town. The briefcase is heavy, and you can't put it in a locker. The documents are important. Could you hold this briefcase for a couple of days? I'll stop by and pick it up before I leave. What kind of nonsense is that? Betty wondered. Can't you leave it with your parents? I can't. I moved away a long time ago, and I don't have any other close person to me here. Close person, she snorted. All right, leave it. Just so you know, I'm not responsible for your briefcase. I'll keep an eye on it, but that's it. Thank you, Betty. I owe you a box of chocolates, smiled Damon. I'll be off then. Go, of course. Betty shrugged. She felt sorry for him for some reason. He looks lost, tired, anxious. Okay, stop feeling sorry for him because of what he did to her. In this day, he deserves a worse reception. The door slammed behind her ex-fiancé. Betty stowed the heavy briefcase in the pantry and soon forgot about it behind the usual hustle and bustle. It was time for a major seasonal cleaning, when she had to tidy up not only her room and kitchen, but all the corners of her small apartment, and that's when the ill-fated briefcase, Diplomat, caught her eye. Gee, how long has it been? Why didn't Damon pick it up? The girl examined the briefcase from all sides and tried to open the locks, but they were blocked by a tiny device and would not open. What should I do now? Throw the briefcase into a far corner of the pantry and forget about it? Throw it in the trash? What if something happened to Damon, or he had to leave urgently? He went to her address that day, but he did not know her new phone number. Maybe Betty should look him up on social media. She typed his first and last name into the search box, but it was no use. The system gave up completely different people. He's probably hiding in plain sight. He's a goddamn spy. That's right. No good deed goes unpunished. She has no information about her ex, no phone number, no address. He himself lives in the city of N with his Sheena, but where, of course, she does not know. His parents are somewhere in the capital. In the end, after suffering through the evening, she gave up on it, shoved this stupid briefcase away, and tried to forget about it, but for some reason, an incomprehensible gnawing unease settled in the depths of her soul. 6 months later, Betty had to go to the town of N for work. Of course, she would not carry a heavy and uncomfortable briefcase with her, but she would try to find, if not Damon himself, then some of his relatives. If they have a connection to him, have them report the briefcase, and he'll come and get it. If no one wants anything, she'll just throw the junk in the trash. Having dealt with the work issues, the girl decided to end her unpleasant duty. She found the coordinates of some distant mutual acquaintances. Of course, they would not take the briefcase, but maybe they could tell her where to look for Damon. After a long search, she managed to get the address where Damon and his wife lived. When Betty was leaving, they recalled one clue: Sheena's mother lives in a nursing home. They even remembered the name. The next morning, Betty was there. Sheena's mother had not lost her mind, but it was obvious that she was very ill and was living out her last days. When the girl asked how she got here, the old woman chewed her lips and distantly reported that her husband had had a heart attack right in the office, and the ambulance hadn't even taken him to the hospital. Their financial situation deteriorated sharply. Sheena and Damon quarreled more and more, and finally separated. Soon the daughter found a German man, married him, and left for Germany. She sold their big nice apartment, took the money for herself, paid for upkeep in that nursing home, and never contacted with her mother again. And Damon, where is he? What about him? Damon got into some kind of trouble, got mixed up with bandits. He was killed. The old woman's voice didn't express any emotion. Betty went outside, a little stunned. What a way life had turned out. Vernon Jefferson, strong as an oak tree. The men who had done everything to destroy Betty's happiness died of a heart attack. Sheena, who seduced her husband, was not confused. She found a German, sold her apartment, and sends her mother to a nursing home. Nobody has heard from her, and it's unclear whether she simply cut her mother out of her life, or whether Hans got his hands on the money and sent the ugly fool to someone for cheap. Mom's dying in a nursing home, and Betty's frustrated fiancé gets shot by a gangster at some gunfight. Yeah, they all got what they deserved, but what's she supposed to do? Nothing. Forget the whole crappy story and throw the briefcase with some business papers in the trash. Let the local homeless people study the useless business papers of a failed businessman. The girl listens to herself, and the depths of her soul regret was stirring still. Poor Damon, chased after wealth and career, betrayed his love. In any case, it was a pity for him. When she got home and finished her work, Betty took out the hated briefcase. She didn't want to drag the heavy thing to the trash. She wondered what was inside it after all. She twisted the locks again. No use. Throw it away, that's all. But curiosity got the better of her, especially since she remembered that in her storeroom she had a small grinding machine she had got on a promotion. She took the tool out, twirled it in her hands. The girl knew how to work it, so without hesitation, she set the metal cutting disc and turned on the machine. With difficulty, reluctantly, the locks gave way. Betty opened the lid and sank in a complete stupor onto a chair. The briefcase was stuffed full of large bundles of 100, 200, and 500 euro bills. With trembling hands, the girl closed the briefcase, wrapped their arms around her head, and could barely contain herself from moaning at the top of her voice. Why didn't she take this disgusting thing to the garbage dump? She was right not to. Damon had cheated someone out of that money. They tracked him down and killed him, probably in a shootout, because if they had caught him, they would have found out where the money was, and he would have not suffered to keep his ex-mistress a secret. And now if the owners of the money find her, she'll just give them the briefcase, and they'll leave her alone. Betty laughed hysterically. Well, yes, those good folks will leave her alone, unless, of course, in eternal peace. There's so much money here, they'd shoot a whole block for it. She had to get into such an idiotic mess, she would have kicked the fool out, along with this briefcase, and all the trouble would have gone away. What should she do now? Report to the police? Yeah, they'll be quick to write her up as an accomplice and put her on the stand, or Dylan embezzle the money and link it to the same gangsters, and she doesn't have a shoulder to lean on, a real man, a loving and strong one to handle this stupid situation. Betty had no luck with men. After Damon there were always some strange types, one who drinks well, one who was obsessed with bohemian parties, and one who was normal, thorough, but deeply married. Betty tried not to fall in love, kept a little aloof, and at the slightest attempt to subdue her or the threat of a toxic relationship, she broke off all ties. She really wanted a normal relationship, a wedding after all. But so far, it was sad. One day, after work, she was on her way home, stopped at the supermarket, bought some groceries. She paid with her credit card at the cash register. She started to go outside, opened her purse to get her phone when suddenly, a young guy ran by, literally snatched the phone out of her hands, and fled into the crowd, or rather, wanted to flee. Some men rushed after him, grabbed the guy by the scruff of the neck, and tried to hold him back. He twisted the hand in which he was holding the phone and took it away. The thief twisted and freed himself and ran. No one chased him. There you are, the man smiled, a nice, open smile. Oh, thank you so much, Betty said embarrassingly. I don't even know how to thank you. It's simple. Just buy me a cup of coffee. There's a nice cafe nearby, and we'll be even. Well, if only the coffee, she couldn't help smiling in reply. I'll have a drink too because I'm tired of work. I'm so stressed out. Well, let's go then. My name is Andrew. I'm Betty. At the cafe, Andrew sat the girl down at a table, and he went to the glass display case where there were various pastries, sandwiches, and croissants. The man lingered for a long time, talking to the guy in line about something. Finally, he appeared at the table with a tray of sweets. I'm sorry it took so long, but you said you were home from work, so you must be hungry. I was hungry too, so I thought I'd take more of everything. I don't know what you like, but I took what I like. It looks fresh. Look, I'm the one who's supposed to be buying you food. Betty was embarrassed. She was very pleased with the attention and concern. First of all, it's not the coffee. It's the pleasure I get as a reward for treating a beautiful girl to dinner. The new acquaintance enveloped her again with this wonderful smile. Betty was embarrassed. She liked Andrew so much, and she was ready to accept all the rules of the game he proposed. The coffee was indeed excellent, and the croissants and pastries were fresh and delicious. She and Andrew chatted like old acquaintances. She told him about herself. He also told her a simple story. He came here from another city, rented an apartment, worked as a sales manager at a friend's firm. He divorced his wife, and they have no children. Betty worked up the courage to ask, "Why did you get divorced?" Andrew turned dark inside, but answered honestly, "You see, Helga wanted to live beautifully here and now, and she wasn't satisfied with my salary. Then I decided to go into business, but soon I lost everything I had. I paid back everything I had, and I still owed some money. I got a loan from the bank, paid it off, and now I still have to pay more off. Oh, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have asked." Betty was embarrassed. "That's all right." He put his hand over hers on the table and squeezed it lightly. "I'll get through this." They spent some more time in the cafe. Then Andrew walked Betty home. He didn't hint at continuing the evening at her house. He didn't kiss her. Though, to be honest, Betty was so charmed that she would have responded to a kiss, and she would have agreed to continue tonight with him. He picked up her phone number, and when the girl got home, washed her face, and changed her clothes, there was already a message on her phone screen, "Thanks for a wonderful evening." The next day was Friday. They met again after work, went to the movies, took a long walk, and in the evening, somehow, it just so happened that they went to his house, and she stayed with Andrew for the whole weekend. They began an affair of such overpowering power that Betty was stunned. She had never lost her head with a man. Even her love for Damon was somehow more sober or something. The best part was that Andrew had also clearly lost his head. He was gentle, attentive, picked up on her slightest desires, gave her some nice things all the time, wrote her love letters. Soon, it was time to make another rent payment on his apartment, and Betty offered to move in with her to save money. Andrew agreed. And that same evening, he moved his things to her place, and after dinner, he handed her a red velvet box, got down on one knee, and said solemnly, "My beloved Betty, I love you more than life, and I want you to be my wife. Will you marry me?" She stood up in surprise, palms pressed against her cheeks, tears streaming down her cheeks. She wanted to say something meaningful, appropriate to such a beautiful moment, but could only repeat faintly, "Yes, yes, yes." They could pass the happiest week of Betty's life, if not for the growing restlessness that gnawed at her. After all, the matter of the briefcase full of money remained unresolved, and she cowardly postponed the need to tell her beloved everything, to decide it together with him. Several times she wanted to start this difficult conversation, but she kept stopping, imagining her babbling. "You see, an ex-lover left me this. Said it was just business papers, and he wouldn't take it back. And then it turned out he had stolen that money, and he was killed. And I don't know what to do with it. They're probably looking for it." She was going to look great with that kind of babbling. However, she has to talk to Andrew. Can't drag the problems of the past into your new life. Tomorrow, right after work, in the evening, she would tell him everything. But what happens next? The next day, she would come home determined and adamant. No more fear and burying her head in the sand. Betty opened the door with her key, stepped into the hallway. "Andrew, are you home?" Of course, no one answered. He usually came in later than she did. She looked into the room and was stunned. Furniture was displaced, the closets open, things piled on the floor. She rushed to the closet. Of course, the briefcase with the money was not there. So, it was a robbery. The owners of the money had found their trail, and while she and Andrew were at work, they broke into the apartment, got the money, and left. Maybe it was for the best. These men got theirs back and didn't ruin her or the one she loved. Mobile thieves. There was a sheet of paper on the table. "My dear beloved Betty, please forgive me for the unwitting deception. I gave that money to its owners. They agreed never to bother you again. You were very sensible. You didn't take a cent from it. I shall come to you soon and explain everything in detail. Remember, I did not deceive you when I spoke of love. We will definitely be together. Your Andrew." Betty sank to the floor and wept bitterly. What a meanness! He had been hired to find money, and he had definitely done his job, deceiving the silly girl, fooling her into believing it. What was all that show for? She would have gladly given the money herself just to live in peace. If he had loved her, he wouldn't have done so. But he had tricked her into having feelings so that he could break into her apartment, go through everything in it, and take away that damned briefcase. What a scoundrel! What a scoundrel he is! The monotonous, empty days flowed on. Betty went to work, bought groceries, cooked. She showed no one her pain. The world around her was dead. She got rid of the cursed briefcase, but the price was too high. It would have been better if bandits had found her and killed her. She wouldn't have had to suffer so much. Soon, on a cold, windy evening, her doorbell rang. Yes, it was Andrew. She let him in the apartment and asked, "Riley, have you come for your things?" "They are here, all packed up." "Take it and go. I don't want to see you again." "Betty, I didn't come for things. I came for you. I still love you. Hear me out, please. It's not that simple and ambiguous in this story. Go away. I'm not going to listen to you. What you did was abominable and despicable. You pretended to be in love so I'd believe you and let you into the apartment so you'd go through the place and find the money. Betty, believe me, I wasn't playing in love. I really loved you. I don't believe it. I don't believe a word you say. If you loved me, you would have told me everything, and I would have given you the damn money myself. I just wanted to get rid of it, Betty honey. I wanted to tell you all the time, but I couldn't make up my mind. There's so much twisted stuff in that story, you wouldn't believe it. Besides, you didn't tell me about the briefcase either. It would have been so much easier if you had. Don't dump your problems on me. Shut it, Betty. You did a mean thing, and now you're trying to blame it on me. Betty darling, I ask one thing of you, let me tell you everything in order, from the beginning. If you don't believe me again, I'll go away and never speak of myself again. Remember I told you about my ex-wife? It's true. She really made me bring home money, a lot of money, and I did all sorts of things to try to get it. I got a job at a realtor's office where there were rich clients, expensive properties, and I can make a buck. One day, a cool client came into our office with an interesting offer. According to him, he had bought an entire entryway in a house under construction when it was still under construction. Now, the house is almost finished, the prices of departments have skyrocketed, but he does not have time to wait to sell them retail. He has a big business in Austria where he needs to fly out right away. He is ready to discount the apartments on the cheap in bulk at a minimum profit. Our director refused to participate in this case and warned me against it, but I'm the smartest. I sold everything I had, got into debt, and bought this entryway, 6 floors, 2 apartments on each floor. I almost squealed with joy when I thought about how much money I will make from it. Here we go. But as a result, the documents for this new building turned out to be fake. I'll not go into details. It's time to pay debts, and there's nothing to pay in general. The man who gave me the money was not a complete scumbag. He did not connect with gangsters. He invited me to his office, offered me some cognac, so he gave me the following plan. He and his companions had a courier who stole a suitcase full of money and wanted to get away, the condom of course, but he didn't have the money. Well, his companions, simple guys, started asking questions about where, how, and what. They overdid it, or the guy's body was weak, but he died before he could say anything. Well, they started tracking all his relatives and acquaintances, but this man is not a gangster, he is an official, some kind of deputy. It was at the end of his career. For him to get involved in murders? Anyway, they checked his family, no one knew anything. That's when they remembered you. The official said right away, no kidnapping, no torture, etc. I'll do everything myself, don't get in the way. So he offered me a deal, I find the money, he writes off my debt. He gave me your picture, and I was amazed at how beautiful you were. I'd given myself a vow to do everything carefully so that you wouldn't get hurt. I hired a guy, acted out the scene with the phone, and that was the end of my game. When I saw you in person, I fell in love immediately, completely and unconditionally. I'm sorry, but I didn't know what to do. If you had the money, you have to pay it back right away. And if you don't, I have to find out where it is and get you out from under suspicion. And then I got a call from the owner. How is it going? He asks. Hurry up, he says, because these guys are rushing to finish the job, and I don't want any trouble. Well, that's how it turned out. I didn't go to work, I found the damn suitcase, and I called. He calmly said to me, good for you. They're coming to pick you up. And I got the nerve. I said straight out, I will, but on the condition that they leave the girl alone. He laughed. We don't need your girl, we need the suitcase. They picked me up, and I brought the suitcase. He opened it, looked at it, made sure everything was in place, and said, that's it. Thank you. You've paid your debt, you're free, and he hands me a pile of bills. This is your reward for your hard work, and he pushed the money back and said, my reward is not to hurt the girl. He even looked at me with respect and nodded. My word, guarantee. That's how it ended, sweetheart. I told you the whole truth, I didn't make anything up. Again, forgive me and give me a chance. I love you so much." Betty sat there, not moving, not saying a word. She wanted very much to believe Andrew, but she could not forget his deception. On the other hand, she was aware of her own guilt. She could have told her lover everything too. At last, she got up and said softly, "Go now. I have not yet understood myself. I want to believe you, but I do not know. Go away. In 2 or 3 days, you'll feel for yourself if I can forgive you. And then you'll come to me if you want to. In the meantime, go away." Andrew left, and Betty was left to wait for her decision and to believe that she would forgive Andrew. They would be together again because one cannot lose his love so in vain. Thank you for joining us today on Deep Stories. Be sure to like and subscribe and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on our next video.